I never used to believe in home remedies. If something hurt, I'd just pop a painkiller, drink some coffee, and push through it. That's how I was raised. Real men don't complain. We fix things, keep moving, and ignore the rest. But a few months ago, I learned that ignoring the small stuff can really sneak up on you. It started with a toothache, just a tiny twinge at first. One of those you think will pass in a day or two. But it didn't, it got worse. By the third night, the pain had spread up the side of my face and into my temple. I tried everything. Ice packs, warm salt water, even that minty gel from the drugstore that's supposed to numb your gums. Nothing helped. Around midnight, I was sitting in the kitchen, half asleep, holding a frozen bag of peas to my cheek. My wife walked in. She took one look at me and just shook her head. She said, "You're not going to fix that with peas. Try this instead." She reached up into the cabinet and handed me this little glass jar. Inside were these dry, dark buds I'd seen 100 times but never really noticed. Cloves. I looked at her, half laughing, and said, "Come on, honey." "Cloves? Aren't those for baking?" She smiled, that kind of smile that means just trust me. She said, "Tuck one into your cheek, right next to the tooth. You'll see." So I did it. At first, it burned, sharp and bitter, like a mouthful of pepper. But after a minute or two, something amazing happened. The ache started to fade. It wasn't sudden. It was slow and steady, like a gentle wave rolling back out to sea. I sat there in silence, just waiting for the pain to come back. But it didn't. For the first time in days, I was pain-free. And I'll be honest with you, it blew my mind. The next morning, I woke up and still felt fine. That's when I asked my wife, "What's in those things?" She said, "Cloves have been used for tooth pain for hundreds of years. They fight bacteria and numb the nerves. Nature's little warrior." And that phrase stuck with me. Nature's little warrior. From that day on, I started keeping a small jar of cloves in the kitchen. Not just for toothaches, but for digestion too. I'd always had trouble after heavy meals, bloating, that uncomfortable tightness in the stomach. So one evening I decided to try something different. I dropped a few cloves into a cup of hot water and let it sit. Within minutes, the kitchen filled with this warm, spicy aroma, kind of sweet, kind of smoky. I took a sip, and it felt like it warmed me from the inside out. Half an hour later, the heaviness in my stomach was gone. No pills, no antacids, just a few cloves and hot water. Now it's become a little ritual for me. Every evening after dinner, I make myself a cup of clove tea. Just 3 buds, hot water, and a quiet moment to sit still. That's something I didn't do much before, slowing down, listening to what my body's trying to tell me. You see, cloves aren't just about relief. They remind me of patience, of how something small and simple can carry real strength. When my grandkids visit, they'll sometimes see me sipping that dark tea. They'll wrinkle their noses and say, "Grandpa, that smells weird." I laugh and tell them, this tiny bud guards against pain like a warrior. They don't get it yet, but someday they will. Because these little things, these quiet, natural remedies, they're not just about healing the body. They teach you something deeper: patience, awareness, balance. These days, if I ever feel a sore tooth or a heavy stomach, I don't rush for a bottle. I reach for the cloves. I roll one between my fingers for a second, smell that warm, earthy scent, and it's like I can already feel the calm settling in. Sometimes I'll just chew on one slowly. It burns a little, sure, but it clears my head, freshens my breath, and somehow it reminds me to slow down. I've come to think of cloves as more than a spice. They're a lesson, a reminder that nature already gave us everything we need to heal if we'd only stop long enough to notice. So yeah, next time you feel that dull ache in your jaw or your stomach feels off after a big meal, try this. Just 1 clove. Let it sit in your cheek or steep it in hot water. It might feel old-fashioned, but I promise you, there's a kind of peace in taking care of yourself the simple way. And who knows, you might find, like I did, that the smallest things, the ones hiding in the back of your spice rack, carry the strongest medicine of all. Clove, the tiny warrior of nature's medicine chest. Heal naturally. Live gently.